Hello everyone. Today I'm going to discuss the lesson design and materials, resources, in teaching poetry. What we have had on the previous discussions is essential in this topic because before we write a lesson design, we must first know what is poetry and the literary devices used to make a poem. And in this lesson, we are expected to identify the strategies, materials, and resources in teaching poetry and develop interest and positive impact when it comes to teaching and learning poetry. What is materials? Materials can be anything that we can use in the teaching and learning process. For example, laptops, cell phones, paper and pencils, etc. And the resource materials focus on developing senior secondary students' poetry analysis skills and provide guidelines on how to approach a poem and develop critical response to it. So we have the materials consist of two sets. In set one, we have the student's copy. It includes handout, worksheets, and in set two, we have the teacher's note and the teaching steps and ideas, as well as the suggested answers and the resources for teachers' reference. In set 1, it includes the steps to analyze a poem, key aspects and guiding questions for poetry analysis, writing an analytical paragraph on different aspects of poem, and writing practice. So, Here is the steps to analyze a poem. First is look at the title, form and shape of the poem. Then read the poem aloud or in your mind. Think about the setting of the poem. Work out the subject and themes of the poem and identify the sound effects such as rhymes, assonance, and alliteration. Identify the poetic devices. And then think again about the feelings, messages, and ideas presented, or even the moral lessons. Then the key aspects and guiding questions for poetry analysis, it includes the following. When it comes to content, subjects, and themes, we can ask our students, what is the poem about, or how are these ideas organized in the poem? And in speaker, tone, voice, we can ask our students, who is the speaker, what is the tone of voice, does the poem sound or happy or sad, and then the setting and atmosphere, where and when the poem set, what is the mood and atmosphere. Then in sound effects, form and structure, is there a rhyming pattern, rhyme scheme? Does the poem follow a regular poetic form? And in poetic devices, does the poet use techniques? What effects do the devices create and how do they help to present the themes of the poem? And lastly, in diction, word choice, and use of language, we can ask our students, what effects does the choice of language create? Is there any significance to the capitalization and spelling of words? And in writing an analytical paragraph on different aspects of poem, here is they're going to write an essay, for example, to see that they really understand the poem. And we can see there the statement or the main point, and then the textual support and evidence and elaboration, as well as the explanation of the student. Then, after analyzing a poem or after learning how to analyze a poem, they can finally move to writing practice. And in writing practice, first is we must give them a specific topics, for example, love, environment, politics, family. And so there's a focus when it comes to writing an analytical paragraph, and then include the following elements in each analytical paragraph. Show and identify the different elements of your analytical paragraph. Then now let us proceed to set 2, and in set 2 we have free reading activities. In free reading activities, uh, we must first do the interviewing and information set. For example, the topic is love. We are going to ask our students first, have you already experienced love, or what is love? This is to introduce the poem, and so they could have an idea about it. And then reading the poem, comprehension and appreciation. Provide guide questions, follow questions during and after reading. So, for example, they read the first stanza first, and then you're going to analyze it with them, together with them, to make sure that they understand the poem. And then follow-up activities, reviewing a short clip of the poem or write a short poem. Then the resources. Just like what I mentioned earlier, materials available on our which are accessible. One another example is books, school learning materials, self-made, and internet. And in selecting a poem, we must consider these. Only those poems should be selected with or up to the mental level of the learners, because we cannot give a typical typical to understand poems to them kasi hindi nila maiintindihan masyado. And then, the short poem should be given preference over long ones. The rhythmic poems appeal more to the children because they can be memorized easily. This is familiar, especially in using songs. So, then, only poem of that type should be selected which have a universal appeal. So, yeah, that's all in my report. Thank you very much.